the task forces. These task forces that have been billed as some progressive victory, that Bernie Sanders has gotten Joe Biden to agree to 6 task forces. There's a healthcare task force, there's a climate change task force, there's immigration task force, economic task force, all the task forces. And it's basically a bunch of Biden, Hillary, Obama people. Then and a few progressives on the task forces. Well, you would think with nearly 40 million people filing for unemployment, with estimates right now, nearly 30 million people who have lost their employer-sponsored health insurance, you would think they don't really need a task force for ideas, right? Like, can't you just use the ideas that we already have, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, these kind of things, to meet the current crisis, to meet the moment? So it's kind of strange to me, in the first place, that we need a task force. I said it's a BS nonsense thing in the first place. Bernie should have not endorsed Biden when he did, and he should have got a hell of a lot more than task forces for it. But unsurprisingly, you want to know what Joe Biden's mega Wall Street donors think about these task forces? You know how seriously they take these task forces? They are collectively laughing at us. Joe Biden's donors are laughing at the thought of task forces with progressives and Biden's people. This from Bloomberg today. Wall Street veteran Charles Meyer got a surprise Wednesday in his Park Avenue office, because they're all on Park Avenue. The longtime Democratic donor and former vice chairman at investment bank Evercore was sitting near photos of Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Margaret Thatcher when he read the names on Joe Biden's new economic policy task force. None of his financial industry friends were there. Myers saw 1 congressman, 2 labor leaders, and 5 economists from academia or think tanks. Quote, "I literally don't know any of them. I've never heard of them." Probably because they're progressive, and some of them are progressive and not merchants of Wall Street like yourself. Yet the banker isn't bothered. Wall Street's Democratic insiders, who have been cutting checks and winning access for decades, also translated as buying Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, Mitch McConnell, the Republican Party, and our entire government, say they have plenty of sway in Biden's orbit, despite his very public wooing of the progressive left. Some finance veterans have even begun to think about the spots they might land in Washington if Biden wins. Well, I guess that's what Biden meant by nothing fundamentally will change. Myers, a bundler for the Biden Victory Fund and chairman of Signum Global Advisors, said keeping bankers off the task force was, quote, "a very tactical and very smart move." Quote, "But it doesn't mean that in the end, the selection of cabinet members will be determined by these people." These people, these little peasants from Bernie Sanders' wing of the party. Bernie dropped out, and he thinks he's actually gonna make policy proposals that we, the donors, will allow? That's my imitation of these Wall Street donors. They are laughing at the thought of progressives actually influencing anything. This is why, although I'm not going far enough for some people, some people are very triggered if you don't call Bernie a sellout, which I will not do, and I don't care. I'm not going to play to clicks and subscribers. So if me not calling Bernie a sellout, a fraud, and a coward triggers you, that's your problem. However, I still have to criticize him here. The very thought that task forces even need to be created when you literally have an economic depression on your hands is an insult to all the people that just got laid off. Sure, we're not in power. The Democrats aren't in power in the White House or the Senate. So none of the proposals can be enacted right now because Trump and McConnell won't allow them. It's just this part, to me, says it all. But it doesn't mean in the end the selection of cabinet members will be determined by these people. The arrogance of these Wall Street Neanderthals that run the country, as you see behind me. The arrogance. Because the Wall Street Neanderthals running the country, they know that these task forces are just for show. They know Biden is a career servant to their interests, which I'm about to show you more, because I just investigated his healthcare donors, and boy, is it a hall of fame of Neanderthals. It's my new favorite word. So it's quite telling that, AOC said, we need to be everywhere. We got to have an outside strategy, but we have to be on the inside when decisions are being made. Well, what this donor is basically telling you, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, Varshini, forget her last name, from the Sunrise Movement, Stephanie Kelton is on these task forces. What Wall Street is basically saying here is, progressives. What they are telling you is, you are being punked. We are using you. We are hoodwinking you. You are our useful idiots. You are our useful idiots. It doesn't mean that cabinet positions will be selected by these people. Basically what they're saying is, have your task force. If that's what it takes to get these Bernie kiddies to vote for Joe, whatever, give them their little task force, make them feel useful, make them feel powerful. And then after we get Biden elected, we'll drop them in a back alley. That's what they're telling the progressive movement through these statements. And the reason is, as I've already said multiple times, where Bernie's mistake is, where AOC's mistake is, and the other people that agreed to be on this task force is, you're not actually negotiating with Joe Biden, ultimately. You're not really negotiating with whomever the people Biden's campaign appointed to the task forces are, because they do not even make the decisions. Really, you're negotiating with servants to these Wall Street donors. It's the Wall Street donors that make the decisions. And for those that were old enough, let's go back through memory lane here. Remember, Citigroup, massive donors from Citigroup basically sent Obama's campaign their desired list for who he should appoint to different cabinet officials. And guess what? Obama gave them their wish list down to the T. They sent, this was Michael Froman, a Citigroup executive, who later became Obama's trade representative. They sent Obama's campaign in 2008 the list of who they wanted as cabinet officials, and Obama gave it to him. So what makes us think that Joe Biden, who is even more right-wing than Obama was, what makes us think that these task forces are actually going to influence anything? Biden isn't the one making the decisions, just like Obama didn't go after bankers for bringing down the global financial industry, because they got him elected through their massive fundraising for him. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.